What if I told you that the life you're living right now, every part of it is not a reflection of what you deserve, but of what you've allowed? Let that sink in. You say you want more. You say you're meant for bigger things. And yet, every single day, you wake up and accept less. Less effort, less focus, less discipline. You've convinced yourself that circumstances are holding you back when really it's your mindset that's keeping you stuck. See, people talk about manifestation like it's magic. Like you can sit in a quiet room, light a candle, repeat affirmations, and somehow greatness is going to knock on your door. It won't. The world doesn't give you what you wish for. It gives you what you work for, what you train for, what your mindset is aligned to handle. You can want success all day long, but if you think like a victim, you'll never be anything but one. If your thoughts are weak, your actions will be lazy, and if your actions are lazy, don't dare expect a powerful life. Mastering your mindset isn't optional. It's not a side project. It's the foundation of everything you're trying to build. You want to change your life? Then you better start with the one thing you've ignored for too long. How you think, how you talk to yourself, how you process pain, how you handle doubt, how you respond when the pressure turns all the way up and life stops being polite. Because here's what no one told you. You are not stuck. You're just stuck in thought loops that you've repeated for so long. You now call them your personality. Your mindset has been trained to survive, not to dominate. That's the real problem. But the good news, you can change it. You can unlearn the limits. You can rewire your self-talk. You can rebuild the mental habits that have kept you average. You don't have to stay where you are. But it will take a decision, a ruthless, daily, uncomfortable decision to stop thinking like the old you and start acting like the version of you that actually deserves what you're asking for. So let me ask you something you've probably never been asked. Do you deserve the life you keep saying you want? Have your actions earned it? Has your mindset qualified for it? If not, this is your wake-up call. Let's go deep. Let's dismantle the lies you've been feeding yourself. Let's rebuild a mindset that makes the world respond. You're not here to live soft. You're not here to repeat survival. You're here to master your mindset and finally claim what you truly deserve. Ready? Let's begin. Let's tell the truth. No one ever talks about this because it's uncomfortable, but you don't get what you deserve in life. You get what you tolerate, and that's the part that stings. We grow up being told you deserve happiness, love, respect, success. And while yes, those are beautiful ideals, the reality is different. Life doesn't hand you anything just because you're a good person. You can be kind, honest, hardworking, and still get overlooked, underpaid, disrespected, and unfulfilled. Not because you're unworthy, but because you keep tolerating it. You teach the world how to treat you by what you continue to accept. That job that undervalues you, that relationship that drains you, that self-talk that rips you apart when no one's around to hear it. You've tolerated all of it. And here's the brutal truth. What you allow is what will continue. When you say nothing, you give permission. When you settle, you tell the world, this is enough for me. But deep down, you know it's not. You feel it every time you sit in silence, every time you scroll through someone else's life and think, I could have had that. You know there's more. You feel the pull, but still you stay in the same place. And why? Because it's easier to tolerate than to tear it all down and rebuild. Because tolerating is familiar. It's less risky. It lets you complain without having to take real responsibility. It gives you a shield. You can say life is unfair instead of I've allowed this to be my reality. That's where mindset comes in. Mindset isn't about chanting affirmations in front of a mirror. It's not about pretending everything is okay when it isn't. Mastering your mindset is about refusing to let mediocrity anchor you down. It's about standing up without needing anyone's permission and saying this ends here. Because if you don't make that decision, the pattern will repeat again and again. You'll keep tolerating jobs that numb your soul. You'll keep tolerating relationships that shrink you. You'll keep tolerating a routine that makes you feel like you're just existing, not living. And one day, you'll wake up and it'll be too late to fight back. You'll be too used to good enough, too worn out by your own excuses. and too far from the version of you that once dreamed so boldly. That's the cost of tolerating. But here's the shift. You don't have to earn more to demand more. You just have to stop accepting less, because the moment you say no more, the world adjusts. It always does. People around you respond to new boundaries. Life starts bending in your direction, not because the universe is suddenly being generous, but because you finally stopped shrinking. You want a higher standard of living? Start by raising your inner standards, how you speak to yourself, what you allow into your space, what behavior you accept from others and yourself. You get what you tolerate in every part of life. Your body, it's a reflection of what you've tolerated in your habits. Your income, it reflects what you've tolerated in your effort and belief system. Your relationships, they mirror what you've tolerated in communication, respect, and boundaries. Your mindset, it reflects the level of mental discipline you've allowed or neglected. It's all connected, and every piece starts with you. The people who transform their lives, who actually go out and claim what they deserve, they aren't necessarily smarter or more talented. They just stopped tolerating anything that didn't align with their future. They fired comfort. They stopped justifying staying stuck. They broke up with their excuses and married discipline. They chose pain in the short term to avoid regret in the long term. You think staying the same is safe? It's not. It's just a slow death in disguise. There's nothing safe about betraying yourself every day by living small. There's nothing safe about wasting your potential because you're afraid to feel discomfort. So here's your real power. You don't have to stay where you are. You don't have to keep tolerating a life that's beneath you. The moment you decide to raise your standards and enforce them relentlessly, everything begins to shift. But it has to start from within. The mindset has to be, I will no longer accept this. Not from the world, not from others, not from myself. And when that mindset is locked in, that's when you stop settling and start demanding more. Not just with words, but with action, with energy, with conviction. Because people who know their worth don't tolerate disrespect. They don't tolerate chaos. They don't tolerate a weak inner voice that says, maybe later. They know that later is how you waste a lifetime. You want to get what you truly deserve? Then stop tolerating what you don't. You want better? Raise the bar and don't lower it. Not even once. Not for anyone. Not for comfort. Not for fear. This is the mindset shift that rewrites everything. You are not here to adapt to smallness. You are here to expand. And that expansion begins the moment you stop tolerating anything less than what aligns with who you were always meant to be. Every decision you make, every step you take, every word that leaves your mouth, it's all guided by a silent force. Most people never stop to question your beliefs. And here's the uncomfortable truth. Your beliefs are either building your life or burying it. Not your circumstances, not your past, not your talent, your beliefs. You see, most people are living inside a story they didn't write, a script handed to them by family, culture, failure, fear, and they never think to change it. They live like it's gospel. I'm just not lucky like other people. I don't have what it takes. That kind of life isn't for someone like me. And here's what makes that dangerous. The mind doesn't argue. It just obeys. It takes that belief, true or not, and turns it into your reality. That's how powerful belief is. You don't believe what you see. You see what you believe. Your mind filters everything through the script you've written over time. If you believe you're not worthy, you'll find evidence of that everywhere. If you believe you'll always struggle, you'll sabotage the opportunities meant to help you grow. Not because life is unfair, but because your belief system is broken. This is why mastering your mindset starts with one critical act: interrogating the script. Because if your inner narrative is wired for survival instead of success, you'll never access the life you were meant for. You'll stay stuck, confused, frustrated. You'll think life's against you, when the real enemy has always been the lies you keep believing. You're not born with limiting beliefs. They were planted, conditioned, learned. Somewhere along the line, you picked up the idea that you weren't enough, that love had to be earned, that safety required playing small, that taking up space was dangerous, and you held onto those beliefs like armor, not realizing they were keeping you locked in a mental prison. But here's the breakthrough. If beliefs are learned, they can be unlearned. You can rewrite the story. It won't be easy because the brain hates change. It wants to protect you from discomfort, from risk, from the unknown. It would rather keep you safe in a known hell than lead you into an unknown heaven. That's how fear disguises itself as logic. It convinces you to stay stuck, to play it safe, to follow a script that's been killing your potential for years. But the mind is a tool. You either use it to build or you let it break you down. If your beliefs say I'm not capable, then you won't take the shot. If your beliefs say I'm not worthy, then you won't receive the good things, even when they show up. If your beliefs say I always mess things up, then you'll prove yourself right every time. That's how it works. Beliefs become behavior, behavior becomes pattern, pattern becomes identity. Identity becomes destiny. And if you don't interrupt that loop, you'll live a small life while telling yourself it's the best you can do. But you know better. There's a version of you on the other side of all those broken beliefs. The version that doesn't shrink in the face of rejection. That doesn't over-explain, over-give, over-apologize, just to feel accepted. The version that takes up space, owns their power, walks into rooms like they belong there, because they do. But that version doesn't show up by accident. It shows up when you change the script. That starts by questioning every belief that keeps you from moving forward. Who told you that you're too old? Too late? Too damaged? Who told you that you can't build something great because of where you came from? That failure defines you, that you'll never be more than what you've always been. And more importantly, why did you believe them? You see, belief isn't just about repeating affirmations. It's about replacing the internal code that's been running the show in the background. You have to strip it down, pull it apart, rebuild it from the ground up. Because once your belief changes, everything changes. You'll stop begging for approval. You'll stop chasing people who never saw your value. You'll stop playing small in rooms you were born to lead. You'll stop doubting your own ideas. You'll stop folding every time things get hard. You'll finally start showing up for the life that was always meant to be yours. Not because someone handed it to you, but because you believed you could claim it. That's the power of changing the script. You want a different life? Don't chase it. Believe differently. Train your mind to hold the version of you that doesn't just survive, but thrives. And when that belief becomes non-negotiable, your actions will start to match. Your habits will start to align. Your standards will rise. Your confidence will catch up. And the world will begin to reflect the new script you're living out loud. No more rehearsing failure. No more playing the role of the underdog in your own life. You are not stuck. You are scripted, and it's time to take the pen back. Write a belief system so strong, so unshakable, that nothing and no one can convince you to live below your potential again. Because your reality isn't written by chance. It's written by belief. And belief? That's your job now. Most people are afraid of their emotions. They avoid them, numb them, run from them, or pretend they don't exist. Why? Because emotions are messy. They're unpredictable. They make you feel out of control. And somewhere along the line, someone taught you that being emotional made you weak, irrational, unstable, or too much to handle. So you learn to silence your feelings to appear strong. You learn to bury your anger to be accepted. You learn to smile when you were breaking, and to stay calm when you were actually furious. But here's what no one tells you. Emotions aren't the enemy. They're data. Every single emotion you experience is a signal. It's your body and mind trying to communicate something deeper that your logical brain may be missing. Fear? That's telling you where you're uncomfortable and where you need preparation or courage. Anger? That's usually a sign that something's not aligned. Your boundaries are being crossed, your values are being violated, or you're seeing injustice. Sadness? It tells you that something matters deeply to you, that there's loss or longing or love that needs attention. But if you treat your emotions like problems to fix instead of messages to receive, you lose one of your most powerful tools for growth. You see, emotions don't derail you, denying them does. Repressing them creates confusion. You start reacting to things without knowing why. You shut down in moments that require clarity. You sabotage your relationships because you don't know how to name what you feel. You stay stuck in patterns because you never let yourself explore what your feelings are trying to teach you. And make no mistake, emotions will teach you if you listen. You are not weak for feeling. You're not broken because you cry. You're not overreacting just because your feelings don't match someone else's expectations. You're a human being, and emotional awareness is not a liability. It's a superpower. It allows you to navigate life with intelligence, precision, and authenticity. It helps you communicate clearly, make better decisions, and stay aligned with who you truly are. Let's get something straight. Emotional mastery is not about suppressing your feelings. It's about regulating them. It's knowing when to pause and investigate rather than explode or shut down. It's about using your emotions as information, not as your identity. Feelings are not facts, but they are indicators. When you feel like something's off, it probably is. When you're constantly anxious, that's your body telling you it's exhausted from living in survival mode. When you're numb, that's not peace, it's disconnection. When you're angry all the time, it's not because you're just an angry person. It's because you've swallowed too much pain, too many violations, and too much silence. But if you never give yourself space to examine these emotions, you stay stuck in cycles you don't understand. That's where your power slips away. Not in the emotion itself, but in your resistance to feel it. When you start viewing emotions as data, you stop being afraid of them. You start becoming curious. Why am I triggered right now? What's really behind this sadness? Why did that person's comment bother me so much? These questions don't make you fragile. They make you wise. They allow you to respond, not react, to lead, not explode, to evolve, not remain stuck. And let's be clear, emotions can lie if you don't filter them through awareness. That's why regulation matters. Just because you feel like a failure doesn't mean you are. Just because you feel rejected doesn't mean you were abandoned. Just because you're afraid doesn't mean you're in danger. Emotion is the messenger. You still have to interpret the message wisely. This is why mastering your mindset includes mastering your emotional world. Because if your emotions are always driving the car, you'll crash. But if you lock them in the trunk, you'll suffocate. The real strength is learning how to let them sit beside you, heard, seen, and understood, but not in control. You get to choose what you do with emotional data. You get to decide whether to speak, wait, cry, walk away, or act. That's real control, not denial, not avoidance, choice. And choice only becomes possible when you've built enough awareness to separate the emotion from the truth you want to live by. Some of the strongest people in the world are not the ones who feel the least. They're the ones who feel everything deeply and still keep showing up with clarity and courage. They've learned to translate emotional chaos into purposeful direction. You want to become unstoppable, then stop running from what you feel. Sit with it, decode it, ask what it's here to teach you, then get up and move with wisdom. Because the person who knows how to listen to their own inner world without letting it control them, that person can walk through any fire. Your emotions don't weaken your mind, they sharpen it. If you're bold enough to listen, they are your compass, your alarm system, your truth teller, your guide, but only if you stop fearing them and start learning from them. So the next time that wave of emotion rises up, don't push it away. Pause, breathe, ask it what it's trying to say, because emotions aren't in the way of your power. They are your power. You just have to learn how to read them. Everyone talks about mindset like it's a motivational quote you can slap on a wall and call it a day, like it's something you feel your way into. But mindset isn't motivation. It's not hype. It's not about being excited for a few hours, only to crash back into your old ways by the next morning. Mindset is discipline. It's a daily decision to think a certain way, act a certain way, and hold yourself to a higher standard, even when no one is watching, even when it's hard, even when you feel nothing. You don't master your mind in a weekend. You do it moment by moment, day by day, by choosing again and again not to be ruled by the same thoughts that once held you back. Mindset is built like muscle, through repetition, through resistance, through consistency. If you're not intentional about training it, life will train it for you. And let's be honest, life doesn't hand out strength. It hands out struggle. If you're not disciplined, your mindset will default to fear, doubt, and limitation every single time.
People wait for motivation like it's a bus they missed.
They sit around hoping for a spark, a sign of breakthrough. But real growth doesn't wait. It works. Mindset isn't about waiting until you feel like it. It's about doing it anyway. That's the difference between amateurs and professionals. One waits for permission. The other shows up no matter what. Because here's the truth, your mindset will make or break everything. You can have talent, resources, knowledge, but if your mind is weak, you will quit. You'll second guess yourself. You'll find excuses. You'll take one setback and make it your story. You'll compare, complain, procrastinate. You'll be smart, capable, and still stuck. Not because of life, not because of others, but because you never developed a discipline to manage your thoughts before they managed you. Your mind is like a battlefield. Every day, you wake up to a fight. The fight between what's easy and what's right, between the old identity and the new one you're trying to become, between fear and faith. The people who win that battle aren't lucky. They're prepared. They train daily. They don't just react. They respond. They've built the habits of strength, of clarity, of focus. Not when it was convenient, but especially when it wasn't. Mindset isn't about being positive all the time. It's about being in control. It's about being able to separate facts from feelings. It's about choosing the hard road because it builds character. It's recognizing when your inner critic starts talking and cutting it off before it takes over. It's about knowing your triggers, your defaults, your weaknesses, and not using them as excuses to stay the same. Most people don't fail because they're not capable. They fail because they're not committed to the mental reps. They treat mindset like a mood instead of a discipline. They think one podcast, one journal session, one breakthrough moment is going to carry them through a lifetime of obstacles. It won't. You need to build daily mental toughness. You need rituals, not resolutions. You need habits that anchor you when motivation leaves, which it always will. You need to train your thoughts like an athlete trains their body, intentionally, strategically, and relentlessly. What do you feed your mind when no one's looking? What do you tell yourself when you fall short? How do you respond when the day doesn't go your way? That's your mindset. It's not what you post online. It's not what you say in public. It's the quiet choices, the ones no one sees, the inner dialogue when things get hard, the way you bounce back after failure, the belief you hold when results haven't shown up yet. You don't get to think like a victim and live like a champion. You don't get to entertain self-doubt and expect to perform with confidence. You can't build resilience if your first instinct is to retreat. Mindset is about pushing past comfort, training yourself to stay focused when distraction screams louder, showing up when your emotions say stay in bed, owning your day instead of letting your day own you. It's not glamorous, it's gritty, it's boring, it's repetitive, but it works. Discipline doesn't care how you feel. It just asks, did you show up today? The life you want is not built in bursts of motivation. It's built in the unsexy, unfiltered grind of showing up, especially when no one claps, no one sees, and nothing feels certain. So stop waiting for the perfect mood to build the life you want. Stop hoping that one day you'll wake up feeling ready. You won't. You decide to be ready. You train to stay ready. Mindset is your foundation, and if you don't build it strong, everything else you create will crumble under pressure. Your relationships, your goals, your health, your self-respect, it all starts in your mind. So treat it like it matters. Train your thoughts, question your excuses, silence your inner critic, replace fear with focus, turn discipline into a way of life. Because mindset isn't motivation, it's the hardwired commitment to becoming who you were meant to be every single day. Everyone wants to talk about attraction, what they want, what they deserve, what they're manifesting. People create vision boards, write down affirmations, and wait for life to hand them the dream job, the perfect relationship, the financial breakthrough. But here's the hard truth. You don't attract what you want. You attract what you are. You can want success, but if you still think like a failure, if you carry insecurity, self-doubt, laziness, or entitlement, what you'll attract won't be success. It'll be circumstances that reinforce those same internal patterns. You can say you want love, but if you walk around bitter, closed off, guarded, or with no sense of your own worth, you're not going to attract someone who values you. You'll attract someone who mirrors what's unresolved inside you. The energy you carry is louder than the words you speak. You're not pulling people, opportunities, or outcomes into your life based on your wish list. You're pulling them in based on your identity, who you are at your core, how you think, how you behave, what you tolerate, what you believe is the frequency you operate on, and that frequency determines what shows up. This isn't just energy talk. It's psychology. It's biology. It's reality. We are hardwired to seek out patterns that are familiar, even when they're toxic. That's why people keep ending up in the same situations, with the same kind of people in the same emotional cycles. Not because life is unfair, but because they haven't shifted who they are. They're trying to change the world around them without changing the world within them. Want to attract better. Be better. Not in a perfectionist, shame-based way, but in a grounded, intentional, self-aware way. Want to attract loyalty? Then be loyal to your boundaries, to your values, to your word. Want to attract abundance? Then stop living with a scarcity mindset, waiting for everything to go wrong. Want to attract growth? Then get comfortable being uncomfortable. Want to attract high-level people? Then start holding yourself to a higher standard. You can't fake energy. You can't pretend to be confident while secretly hating yourself. You can't say you want peace while thriving on drama. You can't claim to want elevation while clinging to every old pattern that keeps you low. The universe, the world, the people around you, they respond to who you are, not who you say you want to be. There's a massive difference between desire and embodiment. Desire is easy, everyone wants something. Embodiment is rare. It's living the thing before you see the results. It's showing up like the person who already has what they're working for. It's choosing to act, speak, and think from a place of alignment, even when the evidence hasn't arrived yet. That's the secret. Most people miss you have to become the version of you who would naturally attract a life you want. That version of you already exists. It's just buried under your current habits, fears, stories, and self-image. But you don't get to meet that version by hoping. You meet them by evolving, by shedding the beliefs that don't serve you, by healing what you've ignored, by taking responsibility for the energy you bring into every space. People say, I deserve better. Do? Then act like it. Live like it. Think like it. Speak like it. Don't keep tolerating less while begging for more. Don't keep betraying yourself while demanding loyalty from others. You attract what matches you, and what matches you is determined by your standards, not your intentions. Raise your standards, not just for others, but for yourself. Stop giving the best of you to people who don't even give you the bare minimum. Stop excusing behavior that drains you just because you're scared of being alone. Stop saying you want to win while playing the same small game you've been playing for years. This is about accountability. It's about facing the uncomfortable truth that if your life keeps repeating the same disappointments, the common denominator is you. And that's not shame, that's power. Because if you are the problem, then you are also the solution. You can change, you can evolve, you can shift everything. When you shift you don't attract it based on potential, you attract it based on practice. What you do daily, what you tolerate, what you chase, what you settle for, what you believe you deserve, and if you want a different reality, you need to practice a different identity. One that aligns with the version of you who's already living the life you crave. Start asking yourself the real questions. Would the version of me who's healthy, healed, successful, disciplined, loved, respected, would they think this thought? Would they entertain this situation? Would they tolerate this behavior? Would they stay here? If the answer is no, then neither should you. The gap between where you are and where you want to be isn't just time. It's alignment. You don't have to chase anything when you're in alignment. You become the magnet. You become the one who sets the tone, the one who no longer begs for what they've built within. So stop trying to manifest your dream life while living like your old self. Start becoming the person who already has it. Start speaking like them, walking like them, thinking like them, not in fantasy, but in practice. Because in the end, life doesn't respond to your hopes. It responds to your habits. You don't attract what you want. You attract what you are. Here's the truth. The life you want isn't waiting for you to wish harder. It's waiting for you to become the person who can hold it. You don't get to skip the inner work and expect outer results. You don't get to stay the same and live a different story. That dream, that vision you keep seeing, it's not just possible, it's already yours. But only if you rise to meet it. Because in this life, you don't attract what's on your vision board. You attract what's in your nervous system, in your habits, in your belief system, in your daily choices. Want to change your life? Then change you. Change the way you think, the way you show up, the way you speak to yourself. When no one's around, start aligning with the version of you who no longer begs, chases, or settles. The one who's rooted, grounded, focused, relentless, not desperate for outcomes, but devoted to becoming. That's who attracts everything they deserve. Not because of luck, but because they became the kind of person who made it inevitable. So, stop waiting, stop hoping, stop talking about it. Start becoming it. Every damn day,